This is Hacking the Afterlife podcast with Jennifer Schaefer. Jennifer,
Richard,
how are you?
fabulous.
Oh, that's so great.
It's been a very busy couple weeks.
I know. And you got back from the islands and now you're footloose and fancy free and getting ready for Thanksgiving coming up.
Yes. I'm doing all the cooking and all the things. That's a total lie. He won't even let me go shopping for it.
You're shopping for the cookies.
He will actually, he's afraid the fraud department will get called again.
Did that happen before?
Oh, twice.
Why?
Because I don't go shop. He does all the shopping. He does all.
Oh my gosh.
And so my daughter took our our Costco card. Sorry.
Yeah.
Took my card when she went in there. She got declined. And at the same time, Fred was at Ralph's. He got declined. He's like, mother, he goes, they have the wrong algorithms for me. He's like, what about the purses? He goes, if somebody steals her card to buy food, they should have it. Like, why did you cut her off when she's trying to buy groceries?
Wow. I've never heard of that today.
Suspicious activity.
Yes, men shopping with their wife's cards. That's suspicious. Okay, well, that's a very unusual thing. So, yes, it was 8 years ago, I think, that we first encountered each other in this research because you were listening to
It's a Wonderful Afterlife.
It's a Wonderful Afterlife on Audible while you were doing your Thanksgiving dishes.
And I do those so well. I already ordered a bunch of gloves to look good in. I am
to look good in
already. And now I have another book I get to listen to.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. So there is another book.
Yeah.
Oh, I have it right here. What do you know? Look at that. It's called Divine Counsels in the Afterlife, The Flipside Court.
I love it.
It's and look, Michelangelo's on the cover.
Love it.
Well, that's actually Jesus, but this is the Last Judgment from Michelangelo. And the reason I chose this piece of work is because Michelangelo, you and I have talked to Michelangelo in Backstage Past the Flip Side, but this particular painting was commissioned by the son of his friend who had been murdered. So when Michelangelo was 11 years old, he was invited to live in the home of Lorenzo de' Medici. And then, for whatever reason, the Vatican decided they didn't like the Medici family, so they ordered a hit. They allowed a contract killer to go to Florence to kill Lorenzo and Giuliano. And April 27th, 14 something. Giuliano was murdered. Lorenzo was stabbed, but he survived. And he didn't know who tried to kill him. He wasn't sure. And then eventually it all came out that the Vatican was behind this plot. So now what Lorenzo did was he had his son become a cardinal, and his son became Pope Leo X. He hired Michelangelo to paint the Sistine Chapel. And then 30 years later, the son of Giuliano, who had died, the bastard son of the murdered brother, hired him to paint this painting.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? So, who wants to come forward and talk to us, Luana? You've been on everybody's mind today for some reason.
Oh, Chuck Broden came in last night, and he just popped in again, just now.
Very good. Chuck, how you doing? What's going on?
So I've been doing private events on Mike Slam. Like last night I did another private event. I did one on Monday. I did one. Like I'm working every single day, which I love, but I was a little bit tired this morning. But that being said, he just popped into my head. I have not been thinking of him, but then I just got a reference of it being last night he popped in too. And it actually had to do with the name Charles. So he's now my reference for the name Charles.
So somebody that you're doing a session with, they're trying to access their father, their grandfather, and their name is Charles, and suddenly you see Charles Broden.
Yeah, so it was a big group of women, really amazing group of women here in the South Bay. And they actually she won me at auction. There was an auction that went back and forth, and she paid this a crazy amount of money.
Wow.
for 2 hours, which was very sweet, and went to charity. And there's I never feel like it's work when it's such a great group. But yeah, Charles came in. I'm like, okay, so this is either Charles or he's a TV personality. Like Charles can represent a lot of different things, right? A musician, but it was the name. So that being said, let me see what he has to say about that right now. Oh, he's just saying hi to you. That's all.
Does he want to talk about Luana? Because
He also said that, well, he just showed me. He said that he did, I did ask for the class to help, and they did. So he was just reminding me that I did ask the class, and that's why he was there. It's not
That's
something.
great.
Yeah.
And so for people tuning in to our podcast, so they know
first time or last.
or the last. Charles Grodin is an old dear friend of mine and a close friend of Luana Anders, our moderator on the flip side. And so when Chuck shows up, there's always some conversation about Luana usually, or what he wants to impart. And in this case, Jennifer's doing a session with a group of people in public, and Chuck came through to facilitate or to help with some answer to show up. Because they're outside of time. It's not a big deal for them to show up.
Nope.
Spur of the moment. So today I got a link, appear to my email of Luana when Jack Nicholson won the Oscar for As Good as It Gets.
I saw that earlier.
I posted it on Facebook, but it was just one of those odd things because that happened in 1997, and somebody wrote an article about it today. Jack Nicholson toasted his friend Luana Anders, and what makes it interesting is that he toasted a number of people. He, paid homage to a bunch of his friends, but the last person he mentioned was Luana. Now, that's in the film Hacking the Afterlife. That moment when he thanks Luana is in the movie, which you can find at hackingtheafterlifefilm.com. And I posted it in there because I wanted to introduce who Luana was. So today it popped up on my radar. And I thought, oh, well, that's unusual. So, Luana, how was that just a random thing that just happened to pop up, or?
She's just like fighting with you already. She's like, is anything random, Richard?
No.
So,
but how?
She said, so I asked her, I'm like, is it your birthday? And then I, of course, again, for the audience, it's not something I'm thinking. Like I did ask that question, but before I finished asking it, she showed me May 12th, which is my daughter's birthday. That's her birthday as well. That's
very true.
So it wasn't, so I'm getting, I feel like it does deal with a date, or it does deal with a time period. Give me a second. Or even Jack.
Her friend Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
They were very close friends.
Hold on. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
It's not random because you've been thinking about Jack, she says.
Okay. It's not random, but
so maybe even in the background, or like in your, like, how if our brain was a computer, our background apps that keep running.
Yeah, okay.
Some of them we know, some of them we don't know. I feel like she's saying that it's just been part of that has to do with, I don't know, he's just in the background. One of your apps.
Well, and that could be, yes, of course, her friend Robert Town is a friend of ours, and we talk to him often. And that's all part of that group. But Luana, just if you can help us and help our podcast audience to understand, how is it that you guys are able, on the flip side, to put something like that in our minds, or to have it show up on our email and have us reference you? How do you do that?
Oh, that's so funny. I'll just give you an example. I made a joke about the fact that I feel like spirits bitch a little bit because I was meeting, hear me out. I was meeting a girlfriend of mine, Carrie, for dinner, and I got there early, and there was only one seat available at the bar. This is next to Manhattan Beach, and this was on Saturday night. And I rarely even go out Saturday. Like, I don't go out in town on Saturday night. A lot of people, I go out during the week, on the weekends, whatever. So, but I told her I would meet her, and so when I got there was only one seat available next to my really good friends, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, is a seat taken? I get up there and like, oh my God. She just said to me, she goes, I just liked something on your Facebook page just now. And I'm like, and she goes, I was just complaining, like, where is she? Where is she still in the Bahamas? Like, where did, she goes, I thought you were still gone. And then she's like, Jennifer, I got to talk to you. I'm leaving to New York tomorrow morning. And she had cancer that got removed. She doesn't have cancer anymore on her mouth, but her dentist the person that did her surgeries is in New York. And she's like, I just need somebody here. I'm like, funny you say that. I'm like, the person that I'm meeting is one of the best dental surgeons there is in LA. The person and she goes,
wow.
What? And I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm being used right now.
What a beautiful setup. I see, and Luana's showing you that. Go ahead.
Right. She showed me what's been happening. It's happening all the time. Like, I was like, I'm just being used. Like, but then, then I met somebody else. And I'm like, okay, at least it kind of evened itself out. But it was just a very nice, she was, so she, they exchanged numbers and everything. But she's like, I don't have anybody here in LA. He doesn't recommend anybody in LA. But she's like the best person there is for any dental work or anything like that. Anyway, I just think it's funny that she showed that to me. And so when you ask that question, like, how does it happen? It happens with feelings or thoughts. I always ask my guidance, should I go? Like, I have a dinner tonight and I asked, should I go? And I got told, yes, go. And I don't question it. I just do it, and I pay attention when I'm told not to, even though I'm like, well, that's weird. I really want it, always works out, always for the best. And so you can ask those questions in your mind, just go, should I go? But
yeah.
You have to trust the information that comes through as well.
Well, that's brilliant. And what I'm asking Luana is, it just in terms of orchestrating those events. And now we've heard this because time is different over there. And they have an experience of seeing things way in advance, or things that are occurring simultaneously. So it's not hard for them to nudge somebody or to ask somebody to show up at a restaurant, to get their car to slow down, or the lights to be all turn red, so that you guys are there at exactly the same moment. They mentioned that. But what are some of the techniques that you use, if that's the right term, to make something like that happen?
They just showed me. They used me. That's what they did. Hold on. What are the tech? That's interesting. It's very interesting. So she showed me like the energy being lifted, like getting thicker, like the energy between like the energy she showed me between my friend Carrie and the fact that like by me being there, like there's just like, I don't know if it's because we chose Nyx. I don't know if, again, if it's because Camille was thinking about me but it's a group effort, she's saying, to make things happen.
A group effort. And does that mean...
She showed me just this feeling of like getting like the energy getting thicker. I can't explain it.
Well, let me ask you, Lou. As we've heard, people have a portion of their conscious energy is always back home. So is it that you would go to the conscious energy of the people involved? Let's say you want to have a group of people all meet up at the same time. And so you have this conversation. They're not aware of it here on the planet, but over there, would that be one way to do it? Okay, very good. And Jennifer,
I don't know why I didn't think of that. That's so.
Well, I think it's funny. I'm just for the audience listening in. Jennifer tapped her nose, and that's kind of Luana's signal to her, and only here actually, where it means you're running the money. So just to recap, what I'm saying is, so something that's coincidental or seems coincidental may indeed have our higher selves accessing what it is that's going to happen, and they all kind of get together like a team and say, all right, make sure that our friend gets in the car at 5 o'clock, et cetera, et cetera. And what appears to be coincidence actually turns out to be a very elaborate plot, or a comedy plot, as in some cases. What's up?
Sorry about that. I had to answer my.
It's all right. It's okay. Multitasking is allowed, not only on the planet, but off planet.
So this just came to me. again, paying attention to what happens, like what comes through. Like my son got his second electric bike stolen in less than
Oh.
in Santa Monica, and it's heartbreaking. Like we're like, Jack, it's just a bike. He's just devastated because he hasn't been, So I'm thinking to myself, what good? Like, how does that happen, or what? Why? And I'm like, did it prevent an accident? So my whole thought process just, I don't know the answers. I don't think everything has to happen for a reason, but I got something that made, it could have saved his life because of an accident or something.
That makes sense. Yeah. Those are dangerous things,
Right. And it was just interesting though, the whole thought process. Sorry, that's why I'm like,
No. And it's kind of goes with just something that happened to me last night. So, for example, I was having sort of a running conversation or dream with friends of mine in the film industry, and I was on like a movie set. And having directed a bunch of movies that no one's seen, I have that experience of, sitting in the director's chair and having the whole crew sort of waiting, what's going to happen next. And you're throwing out directions, and hopefully you're having some laughs and some fun. And this morning I got an email from one of the guys that I've worked with on, many films. And the last time I was on a feature film was, hanging out with him. And he said, you came to my mind and I was wondering how you're doing and blah, blah, blah. How's your work on the flip side going? And so I wrote him back and I said, it's just funny because it's a conversation that I've had over the past couple of days, just that memory of being on a movie set and feeling like I'm in the right zone. I'm in the right place by being in this spot. However, I haven't had that many opportunities, but I'm just saying it feels right. Of course, if I was directing movies, you and I wouldn't be talking, right?
Yeah.
We would never have met.
So what I was getting from that though too, you're doing the same thing only with the afterlife.
I guess, yeah, sort of like orchestrated.
They're sitting there waiting around for us to, they're not, but I'm just saying it's interesting how like the way that you've done, ask questions has changed the way that I do my own work. And you have no idea how many clients that I have that have seen your movies or have listened to this podcast that now are asking their own questions. Like no one's ever done that, really. You know what I mean?
No, I think yes, I do.
Not to the extent you have helped so many people, Richard. So many people.
Well, I look, that's my background, which is to say, okay, maybe. But at the same time, I understand what you're saying, which is, and it's important for our audience to hear it, which is this thing of, oh my gosh, I had a dream. Or I had this feeling that my Uncle Pete had stopped by this morning, or Aunt Betty. And instead of just letting it float off into the ether, ask questions. What are you doing here?
And the other thing that was interesting, I don't know if that came to me, everybody has this. And you have the right to talk to your own. It's kind of like you don't need a priest to talk to God. You don't need a medium to talk to your loved ones.
Brilliant.
And I'm not putting a priest and a medium in the same. I'm just saying you just don't. You don't need the middleman. And you might need validation that you're not crazy at first. So yeah, go to a meeting. You might need to see a priest to go to a Bible or whatever, but you don't need either one to go to the source. And I don't know why, it just kind of made sense to me when I put that together. And when I told this group of lovely women last night, very smart, very just incredible women. I told them, I said, you guys, everyone has access to this and you don't have to be afraid of it. People, and they were actually part of a Catholic church. Like a lot of them go to martyrs. Well, they get, a lot of them, it was their first time to ever see a medium, because it's still scary to them. They still have this church, but once they realize it's not, there's nothing bad that can come, like there's nobody, they're actually afraid of the information that comes through. They're afraid they're going to be told they're going to die, or they're afraid they're going to be told that, that never happens. I've never told somebody you're going to die, or like everybody's going to die, but I'm not. I don't know, it was just very interesting. People still have, even now, they have this fear which keeps them away from the other side or from talking to the other side.
Sure, I hear that all the time with people that are, talking on Quora, where they have that feeling of I'm going against my church by exploring this, or I've been told my whole life that don't speak to the dead. And I just say very simply, look, if they respond, they can't be dead. And so it's the same thing. If you're going to say a prayer, or you're going to sit down and say a prayer to a
Right.
loved one, maybe, or to an avatar, Jesus, whoever it is, Mary, Krishna, you're going to say a prayer, allow a space to hear a reply. Because if you have a real legitimate question that they can answer, because of course they can't alter your journey, but they can make it more entertaining. They
Right.
can't change the path that you've decided to be upon, but they can make it more entertaining. So you can ask a question to whoever that is, as long as the question won't disrupt your path. So you could say, like you said, should I go to this particular event or not? And then you got to get a sense or a feeling. But of course,
Right.
you may not go because, whatever that answer is. But if you get consistent answers, and we heard this from Michael Newton, it's in Hacking the Afterlife, the film, where we asked him, give us a 1, 2, 3. How do we talk to people on the flip side? He said, say their name, 1. Number 2, ask your questions. And I said, you mean there's not a third one? He said, no, it's just 2. Say their name, ask your questions. And I said, well, how do we know that it's true? How do we know we aren't making it up? And he said, when they respond before you can ask the question, then you'll know you've made a connection. And the same goes with Jesus, avatars. You're asking questions, and when the answer pops into your head before you can ask the question, you'll know that you've made that connection.
Like May 12th with her birthday. Yeah.
Like, sorry?
When I asked her, I'm like, is it her birthday? And then before I finished saying it, popped in my head.
Right. All right. So, Luana, do you have anybody you wanted to bring forth and talk to us?
What? She's holding a cat.
Nice.
Give me a second.
Well,
I know that your cat's.
Well, hold on. I know her and her cats. Is this a cat that you own, Luana? Yeah. Yes. Is that a yes?
Yeah. Wait. When I get quiet, this is me getting answers.
All right. Good.
So the answer is, she was showing me a picture of like before she passed. So it was a cat that you guys had or you took care of.
No. Hold on. I know what she's talking about. And Jennifer, you don't know about Luana's cats. I do. So I'm going to ask Luana. There's 3 cats that I can think of, and I'm going to name them.
She says the third one.
The third one. So that would be, well, but let's clarify, because I don't know what you mean. Robbie or Robert was his first cat that I knew. The second cat was named Margaret or Maggie, and the third cat is Mr. Bailey. Which one is it?
Bailey.
Very good. Can I ask Mr. Bailey a question directly?
Yes.
Who was there to greet you when you crossed over, Mr. Bailey?
Maggie.
Very good.
Hold on. Was Robbie still here?
The Robbie was on the other side. Robert is still here, but the Robbie, the cat, had already passed on. So that's
logical because of the order that you gave. But she says Bailey, but then when I was asking her, she said Maggie. Maggie was there. And so I'm asking, like, well, Bailey, where was Robbie? And Bailey's just like, I really didn't like Robbie.
Well, they didn't, they were in a different time frame.
Right.
But so let me ask you, Mr. Bailey, why did you come forward today to chat with us? I know Luana has her cat. Most people are going to think, well, Luana brought the cat. But let's ask Mr. Bailey, did you come on your own volition to talk to us?
And we always talk about dogs. We just haven't never talked about a cat. And so
Talked to a cat before. All right. So let me ask you, Mr. Bailey, character.
I was getting something else. Just give me one
Go
second.
ahead. Okay.
He wants to talk about your cat.
Okay, we can talk about our cat in a second, but Mr. Bailey, I need you to put into Jennifer's mind your encounter with Sherry, my wife.
So I immediately saw a tree, but I think you might have mentioned the story before. Was
Okay,
it
well that's fine. Let's not judge it. So do you want to talk about that event, Mr. Bailey?
a fence and a tree?
Is that what you want to talk about, Mr. Bailey? Do you want me to mention that?
That's what you want to talk about.
Okay, well that is that. So Luana's cat had run or had escaped, gone out the door, and she was in a panic. She called me up and she said, "Would you come and help me find my cat?" She was paralyzed, Luana, at the time from her illness, and both Sherry and I went over to Luana's house. I went out in the alley calling for Mr. Bailey for an hour. When I came back, Sherry was standing next to Luana, holding Mr. Bailey. She had gone outside and had said aloud, she had never met the cat. She'd never met Luana. She had said aloud, "Mr. Bailey, Luana needs you." And he appeared in a tree and jumped into her arms, a complete and total stranger. And she walked in with her. And Luana's face was like, Sherry is an angel. That's what she said. So was that accurate, Mr. Bailey? What happened?
Yes. Well, it's that energy again. So they just showed me the energy getting thicker. Like he knew exactly what she said, and he knew that she wouldn't hurt him. He knew that that she was the person that was supposed to bring him to Luana. The cat was afraid because I think there was a dog that was there before, and so I think that's why the cat was up there or something like that.
The tree, okay. I don't know.
The neighbors, but it was it was the energy that Mr. Bailey knew that Luana needed her, and then Sherry carrying that, being the medium for that.
So let me ask you, Mr. Bailey, because it's rare that we get to talk to an animal. On the flip side, we've heard that animals are aware of how incarnation works, but humans are not. Is that correct?
Say that one more time.
Okay. We have heard through talking to other animals that you animals, are aware of how incarnation works, mm-hmm. but that humans are not aware.
Correct.
And so let's just talk about frequency, for example, and the difference between you seeing a frequency of a human versus what a dog might see. Are there differences between you and the dog in terms of what you perceive frequency-wise?
Yes.
So tell us about that. I mean, dogs smell. I know that's the case.
That's so funny. Mr. Bailey just made this. Woof! They stink. Dogs stink. They have this. But you said, I know what you were saying. Dogs smell.
Yeah, their ability to smell. Okay.
Right, so, but it's just a different.
Oh, I have a question for you, Mr. Bailey. When Luana passed away, you and I were in a room together with Maggie, and the two of you watched something for 40 minutes. What is it that you watched?
Luana.
And what was that? Was that odd to you or unusual? Because the two of you watched her in unison.
Oh, I have the chills. Hold on. Show me again. Our heart hurt. We knew that she was not going to be in the same room, but yet she was. Like, we knew that we could still see her, but they're showing me, it's almost like if you knew somebody was on a plane and you're on the ground, there's no way to, it's still coexisting, but there's no way to get on the plane, if that makes sense.
Totally. Plus, Luana took care of them, immaculately and with great compassion. And they must have realized that she wasn't going to be there. I know somebody else took care of you. Go ahead.
They knew weeks before
Oh,
weeks and weeks. They could their sense of smell and death is the same.
I see. So you knew she was about to check off the planet. Um, and so what was that like for you when you saw Luana? When you crossed over, because I know someone took care of you for a while, maybe a year, a couple of years of your life. And then when you crossed over, what was that like for you to see Luana again?
It was amazing. It's almost like she, she shows up in a convertible car and just opened the door and I got in. It was not, no, like I could go anywhere. It was so fun. I wasn't stuck inside a house. I was able to just go with her where she just pulled over, opened up the car door. I popped in.
Popped in.
Yeah.
Mr. Bailey, I have a photograph of you and me. It was Luana's last photograph that she took. She had a camera. She had an Instamatic, and I have it here somewhere. I'm looking for it. I think I have it like sitting over there. But anyway, it's me holding you. Now, what's really unusual is that you look identical to our cat.
Wow.
I know that you wanted to mention something about our cat, Bonnie. What do you want to talk about Bonnie, who's listening in?
She's seeing Bailey more. Like, I don't know. How old is Bonnie?
About 11, maybe 10,
Yeah.
11.
She says she's getting dementia.
She's getting to who isn't? Okay.
Okay.
Speak of the devil.
Oh, so cute.
That's Mr. Bailey. Oh, sorry.
That's exactly.
There you go.
It's like, oh, look how cute you are.
Mr. Bailey. And what's weird about this photograph is that when I saw the photograph, I went, oh my God, that's Bonnie. And then I went, no, that's not Bonnie. Luana took that picture, 1996.
That's crazy.
So, okay, well, the last time we spoke, Luana said that Bonnie needed to go on a diet. And so just this morning, my wife was looking at the cat who was wailing about food and said, blame Luana.
Yep. That's another thing that they wanted to talk about. So that's interesting.
So what do you recommend there? More exercise, less food, more entertainment? What's the Alzheimer's thing about, or dementia about? Is that something we can help?
Food. It's the food that's not giving her clarity. So changing the food is probably going to be a good thing. But doesn't she get
she gets like a kibble, like a treat kind of a thing in the morning, and then she has like chicken in the afternoon.
Okay. Wow. She's gonna be fine. They're just saying that, I don't know, she's seeing her. It's just
okay. Let me ask you about that, Mr. Bailey. I know this sounds weird. We're talking to a cat, but let me ask Mr. Bailey, how do you see beings that are no longer on the planet that we cannot see?
they're just right in front of us.
Are you looking at, is it the same kind of image that Jennifer sees, like a outline of a person, or is it energy, or what are you seeing?
It's energy. So he's showing me like a heat sensor, like you could see the heat coming from somebody, or the lack of that. Give me 1 second.
And I'm going to ask you a question, Mr. Bailey, while you're doing that. I know you got to go. All right, but before we go, Mr. Bailey, one of our animals made a suggestion to Ricky Gervais, and that he would believe that there was an afterlife if he listened to his cats, because the cats could see everything that used to be on the planet. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
All right. Well, we've only had you today for a short amount of time, but we love you, Jennifer.
All right.
That's okay. We appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll have another podcast, next week or no?
We should. We'll just do it a different
Maybe
day.
on Wednesday instead of Thursday? Whatever. We love you. Thank you so much for your gifts. And thank you for your sense of humor and talking to Luana and her cat today. Mr. Bailey.
But it's showing the energy. So when they show me the energy of getting bigger, like that shows us also the power of prayer. It shows us also the power of consciousness, doing things in groups. Like it's a great thing. It's a great thing.
To come together and work together and channel that energy into something that's compassionate and about love.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you so much. Love, love. All right. Thank you, Jennifer. All right. Bye. This has been Hacking the Afterlife podcast with Jennifer Schaefer. For more information, jenniferschaefer.com, martinizone.com, or richmartini.com. Hacking the Afterlife documentary is available on Gaia.com via Amazon Prime.